The backhand overhead in tennis, to my mind, the toughest shot. You do see it on tour or on TV in the highlight reels, but you really don't see it a whole lot because the pros have fantastic footwork and they try to avoid it because it's not a very high percentage shot. Now in club tennis, I do see it actually fairly often, but it's not always an intentional shot. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get a lot more confident when you have to play that shot. What's your best option on the backhand overhead? Don't even hit it. Well, jokes aside, sometimes you just can't avoid it. And there are some reasons why people actually do have to end up hitting a backhand overhead, even though it's not a very easy shot. Especially newer players can't quite judge the ball correctly yet. So yeah, they do see that the ball's coming up, but yeah, they're so concerned with like, what am I doing now, that they're not turning quickly enough and moving quickly enough to set it up to the right side of their body if they're right-hander. So it comes over the left side of their body and then, well, yeah, that's a backhand overhead. The other reason is it could be really windy. That has happened to me a bunch of times. I'm setting up for a regular overhead and then the ball's being caught by the wind last second. You have to make up some stuff. And then of course, if your opponent has control over the ball and they want to lob you over the backhand side. And yeah, that is what you want to do. If somebody's attacking you, you do want to lob over the backhand because it's really, really difficult to aggressively hit that and put a ball away. So think of a backhand overhead more as a shot that you want to make. It's a passive shot. Keep it in play. Trying to put away that shot, leave it to Coco Gauff and Carlos Alcaraz. Absolutely crucial to my mind is the proper grip. So it has to be the continental grip, because if you do have a forehand grip, you have to distort your wrist, your arm even more than you're doing anyways, pretty much. So ideal, your continental grip. Just like on the regular overhead, you want to get under the ball, only that the ball's going to come to the left side of your body. So you want to pivot on your right foot. So you're taking a step back with your left, so the left side points to the back fence. Now, if you really want to grab a whole lot of room, you're then fitting in a cross step. So it's the turn and then a cross step. As you're turning, as you're moving back, you're also setting your racket, you're setting your arm. And the way that you want to do that is elbow up, tip of the racket down, and then we're using a trick that I learned when I was a kid. As you can see, I put my watch on my right hand, and as I'm setting up here, I can see the watch face. And now as I'm extending my arm up, I'm going to turn my arm, my wrist, so that now actually my opponent can read the time. Reaching up to a regular overhead, we're pronating. This action here is called a pronation, forearm pronation. On the backhand, we're doing the exact opposite, a supination. So you're reaching up, and again, the clock face points over. And that is helping me to square up my racket. If you're newer to this shot, that's all I would do. I would not yet engage the wrist. You're not going for a put-away shot. You're just extending the life of the point. And then, of course, depending on where you find your balance, if you're really pushed back as far, hit the ball, recover back to the baseline, reset the point. Or if you hit it further inside the court, you find yourself somewhere around the service line, you can close back in. Always depends on the situation. Now, if you do want to add some extra pop on the ball, you can, and then you should engage your wrist. And what you do is, as you're extending up, snap, snap. And it's kind of like a flick almost. So you extend your arm up to the ball and you want to hit down on the ball. And that's very similar to what you do on the regular overhead. Still, go for more placement over power because it's incredibly difficult to put that ball away. And let me tell you, in my entire career, I may have won 3 outright points. And even if you execute it almost perfectly well, if you play somebody pesky like Martina Hingis, even that's not good enough.
Sehr akrobatisch, aber auch das reicht nicht.
If you want to work on the shot, I would start with a very, very simple progression. choke up on the grip, in your continental grip. And yeah, do self-tosses. Set out your arm here, you toss the ball in front, and you're just trying to make contact first. So set your elbow, check your clock face, and turn up to the ball. Then you slide down all the way to the edge of the grip. Still, self-tosses, perfectly fine. Just to get the feel, because this is a really awkward shot. One tip, I would try not to ever really point your back to the court. You always want to stay sideways. You wouldn't want to hit an overhead this way either. So why would you do that on the backhand? Next progression is somebody tosses, underhand toss is perfectly fine from fairly close up, or they feed. If you don't have anybody to help you out with that kind of drill, use the ball machine. As a two-hander, you do have a little bit of a more aggressive option. If you have the chance to move back a little further, a little quicker, or the ball is just a little slower and kind of hangs in the air, you can move back and basically hit a higher swing volley, which will most likely always be more aggressive. As a two-hander, same thing. If it's a really tough ball, you will also have to reach with one hand. If you like this video, also go ahead and check out my Patreon, because you will get more and exclusive content on my membership platform. So for as little as $5, you get extra content, earlier access to the things that I do publish, and for $15 a month, you're gonna join our monthly coaching call, and there will be other perks. So go check out my Patreon.